The Wise Student and the Thousand Fools. High in the misty Himalayan mountains, deep within a peaceful forest, there lived a great teacher. He was the wisest hermit anyone had ever known, and over 1,000 students had come from far and wide to learn from him. His hermitage sat beside a crystal-clear stream, surrounded by tall pine trees and blooming wildflowers. Every morning, the teacher would sit on a smooth rock by the stream and share his wisdom. While most students chatted among themselves or dozed in the warm sun, one young student named Sumetho always listened with his whole heart. He understood things the others missed, and the teacher noticed this with a quiet smile. Years passed, and the great teacher grew very old. One evening, as golden fireflies danced around the hermitage, he called all his students together. His voice was soft but steady. "My dear students," he said, "my time in this world is ending. Before I go, I wish to share my greatest discovery with you." The students leaned in eagerly. The teacher smiled peacefully and whispered his final words. "After a lifetime of seeking, I have found nothing." Then his eyes gently closed, and the great teacher was gone. The students stared at each other in shock. "Nothing," they whispered. After all those years, he found nothing at all. The students felt cheated and angry. "Our teacher wasted his whole life," they grumbled. "He studied and meditated for years and found nothing." They left his side without giving him the proper ceremony he deserved, shaking their heads in pity. Not one of them stopped to think about what the word nothing might truly mean. Sumetho, the wisest student, had been away gathering herbs high in the mountains. When he returned and heard what had happened, he was horrified. "You fools," he cried. "You did not understand at all. When our teacher said he found nothing, he meant he had reached the highest state of wisdom. He discovered that nothing in this world lasts forever. That was his greatest achievement." But the students laughed at Sumetho. "You are making excuses for him," they jeered. "Nothing means nothing. Even you cannot change what he said." No matter how clearly Sumetho explained, not a single one of the 1,000 students would listen. They turned their backs on him, one by one. Suddenly, the sky above the hermitage began to glow with brilliant golden light. The students gasped and fell to their knees. There, floating in the air above them, appeared the spirit of their great teacher, surrounded by a warm, radiant halo. His face was peaceful, his eyes filled with gentle wisdom, and golden light poured down like warm rain. The teacher's gentle voice echoed across the forest like a beautiful song. "Far better than 1,000 fools, who argue day and night, is one wise soul who listens well and understands what's right." He smiled warmly at Sumetho with pride, and the golden light washed over all the students. At last, they understood the true meaning of his words. The students bowed their heads in shame and gratitude. They honored their teacher with a grand ceremony and begged Sumetho for forgiveness. From that day on, they listened not just with their ears, but with their hearts. And Sumetho became their new teacher, carrying on the great master's wisdom for generations to come. Moral: one person who truly understands is worth more than 1,000 who do not listen. The boy who saw ploughs everywhere. Long ago, in a peaceful forest in ancient India, there lived a great and wise teacher. 500 young students came from far and wide to study at his ashram. He taught them about the world, about nature, and about the art of speaking wisely. Among all his students, there was one boy who was more devoted than any other, but also more foolish. One night, the teacher's bed wobbled and creaked. The foolish student rushed to help. When he could not find a prop to fix it, he slid his own leg under the broken bed leg and held it steady all night long, never complaining. The teacher was deeply moved by such devotion and thought, "This boy has a golden heart. I must find a way to help him learn." The wise teacher had an idea. "Each day when you go out to gather firewood," he told the boy, "look carefully at everything you see. When you come back, tell me what you saw and what it looked like. This will help you learn to observe the world and speak wisely." The boy's face lit up with excitement. "Yes, teacher, I will do my very best." The next day, the boy went into the forest with the other students and saw a long, slithering snake on the path. He rushed back to the teacher excitedly. "Teacher, I saw a snake today." "Very good," said the teacher. "And what did it look like?" The boy thought hard and said, "It was long and curved, just like the shaft of a plough." The teacher smiled warmly. "Excellent. That is a very good comparison." A few days later, the boy came running back even more excited. "Teacher, teacher, I saw an elephant in the forest today." "Wonderful," said the teacher. "And what did the elephant look like?" The boy grinned proudly and declared, "It was just like the shaft of a plough." The teacher blinked in surprise. "Well, the trunk is a bit like a plough shaft, I suppose," he murmured, trying to stay hopeful. The very next day, villagers invited the students to eat fresh sugarcane. The boy came back beaming. "Teacher, I ate sugarcane today. It was so sweet." "How lovely," said the teacher. "And what did sugarcane look like?" The boy thought for a moment, then said with confidence, "It was just like the shaft of a plough." The teacher's smile faded a little. "Sugarcane, like a plough shaft," he said quietly. Then came the final test. The students were invited to a feast and served fresh curds and milk, smooth, white, and flowing. The boy rushed back. "Teacher, I ate curds and milk today." "And what did they look like?" asked the teacher, holding his breath. The boy answered proudly, "They were just like the shaft of a plough." The teacher sighed deeply. "Curds and milk take the shape of whatever bowl they are poured into, they look nothing like a plough shaft at all." The wise teacher shook his head gently and said, "My dear boy, a snake is indeed like a plough shaft, long and curved. But an elephant has legs and ears and a great belly. Sugarcane is tall and green. And curds and milk flow like water into any shape. You must learn to see each thing for what it truly is, not squeeze everything into one single idea." Though the boy never quite learned this lesson, the teacher never stopped caring for him, for a golden heart, even without great wisdom, is still a treasure. Moral: true wisdom means seeing things as they really are, not fitting everything into what you already know. The Two Deer Brothers. In the green forests near the ancient city of Rajagaha, there lived a great and noble stag who was the leader of 1,000 deer. He had 2 sons, Lakana, whose name meant the fortunate one, and Kala, whose name meant the dark one. Lakana was thoughtful and wise, always watching and listening before he moved. Kala was bold and proud, always rushing ahead without a care. Their father loved them both, but he worried about the days ahead. As the old stag grew weaker, he called his 2 sons before him. "My dear sons," he said, "harvest season is coming. The farmers will set deadly traps throughout the lowland forests, pitfalls, sharp stakes, snares, and stone traps. You must each lead 500 deer to the safety of the mountain forests. Be extremely careful on the journey, for hunters will be lying in wait." He placed his trust in both sons equally, hoping they would bring every deer home safely. Kala, the bold and reckless brother, set off first with his 500 deer. He marched them proudly along the open roads near villages, right at dawn when the farmers were out in their fields. "Why should we hide like cowards?" Kala said to his herd. "We are strong and fast. No farmer can catch us." But he did not see the hidden pitfalls in the path, the sharp stakes buried in the grass, or the hunters crouching silently behind the bushes with their bows drawn. Disaster struck swiftly. Deer after deer fell into hidden pitfalls. Others were caught in snares that tangled their legs. Arrows whistled through the morning air as hunters sprang from their hiding places. Kala ran ahead in panic, not stopping to help or guide his herd. By the time he reached the mountain forest, he looked behind him and his heart sank. Most of his 500 deer were gone, lost to traps and hunters because of his reckless pride. Lakana, the wise brother, chose a very different path. He waited patiently until the dead of night, when all the farmers were fast asleep and the moon hid behind the clouds. Then he led his 500 deer through the deepest parts of the forest, far away from any village or road. They moved silently in single file, stepping softly over fallen leaves, guided only by starlight. Not a single trap lay in their path. Not a single hunter knew they were passing. Lakana and every single one of his 500 deer arrived safely in the beautiful mountain forest. The towering peaks welcomed them with cool fresh air, crystal streams, and meadows of sweet grass. Not one deer had been lost, not one had been harmed. The wise Lakana had kept them all safe through patience, careful planning, and and the wisdom to travel unseen. His deer grazed happily, grateful for their leader who cared more about their safety than his own pride. When the harvest season ended, both brothers led their herds back home. But Kala, having learned nothing from his mistakes, repeated the very same reckless journey. He marched near villages in broad daylight once again, and this time he lost every last deer. Kala returned to his father completely alone, a leader with no one left to lead. Meanwhile, Lakana brought back all 500 deer, everyone safe and sound, just as he had promised. The old father stag looked at his two sons and spoke words that the whole forest would remember. "See how the wise and caring leader brings back all his family safely," he said, looking at Lakana with pride. "And see how the reckless one has lost everyone who trusted him." He turned to all the deer and said, "Remember this, little ones, a true leader thinks not of his own glory, but of those who depend on him. Wisdom and patience protect, pride and recklessness destroy." Moral: a wise and careful leader protects those who trust him, while a reckless one leads them to ruin.